Hey guys, it's me Elizabeth. I'm back with another video. Today I'm going to be doing a 2022 reading goals. Initially I thought I only had 2, but I actually have like 7. So there we go. One of them's not really a goal, but it's more of like something that I want to attempt to not do this year because it worked out kind of last year. I kind of did it, kind of didn't follow it, but I started out doing it and it worked out really nicely for me. So let's just get into these goals. The first goal is carrying over from last year, and that is to read my Bible every day. That's just a goal, like daily. That's just a goal that I want to attempt to do even more so this year because I was following it pretty good at the beginning of last year, and then towards the end, especially in November and December, I was kind of falling behind on that and not doing it as much, but I definitely did it a lot. I did a lot better with that last year than I have in past years. I definitely was reading my Bible a lot more than I normally do, although I'm not reading as much as probably most people. I was reading like one book a day, one like chapter a day or whatever. So I want to up that as well. I want to try and read more than one chapter a day because some of the chapters can be really short, and it's like, well, I can read more than that. So that's goal number 1. Goal number 2 is to read a book every day. Not read a book every day, but read every day. Read whatever book I'm reading every day, or, whatever I'm reading at the time. Read every day, just to make that a habit, and just because I need to do that. I also need to read more often. I will explain that a little more later, but yes, I want to read every day. So this one isn't necessarily a goal, but this is kind of like a thing that I don't want to do. So basically last year at the start of 2021, I was like, I'm not going to set a number goal for the books, how many books I want to read, because I feel like that just makes it harder for me to like actually read a number of books. Like, it makes me feel pressure, and like it just makes it harder for me, and I'm just like, no, I can't read this many books, blah blah. And I just feel like it's just better for me to just read and have fun and not worry about how many books I'm reading. And so at the beginning of last year I was like, I'm not going to do that, and immediately I started listening to audiobooks at work, and I immediately, like within a couple of weeks or months or something like that, I read like 13 or 14 books, and I was like, and that was the same amount of books that I had read in 2020. Like, I read 13 books in 2020. So I was just like, it's been a couple of months and I've read the same amount that I read in 1 year. I was like, I think I can get myself to read 50 books this year. So then I did set my goal to read 50 books, and I did complete that goal, which is pretty awesome because I'd never done that before. But again, I want to try and not set a number goal, because then I can just start reading and whatever happens. And again, if like partially way through the year I feel like I'm reading a lot of books and I want to set a goal, then I will allow myself to do that. But to start out at the year, I don't want to start out with a number goal, because I just want to see where my reading takes me, and I want to see if I can read more this year than I have other years, because I say that every year, like, I'm going to read more, and then I don't read as much as I want to. And to explain that, basically this past year I have read 50 books, and yes, that is a very lot of books, but I also feel like if I tried a little harder, I could have read way more than 50 books. Like, with all the audiobooks I listened to, which was a good majority of the books that I read last year, and the physical books and stuff, if I had cut out a lot of something else that I do in my life, I could have read a lot more instead of doing that other thing. And so I feel like I'm really glad and happy and proud that I read 50 books last year, but I also feel like if I had tried, I could have read more than 50 books. I could have read a lot more. I actually could have read 51 books, because I was listening to an audiobook yesterday and I could have finished it, but then I didn't. So, but that doesn't really matter. But I feel like I definitely did a good job, but I could have also gone further than my original goal because I did a lot of something else, which is just something that I've done a lot of for the past however many years, and I want to try and cut down on that, and so that leads me into the next goal, and that is to watch less TV. I watch a lot of TV. I don't know how else to say it except that, and I just want to attempt. I've tried this so many different times and failed, but I want to actually attempt to make this happen and just watch TV less. Whenever I go to just watch mindless TV for no reason or whatever, think about reading instead, or if I do want to watch TV and I'm thinking about reading instead, I could read a couple of pages and then go watch TV or something, just to get myself reading more often instead of just watching TV, because I will think about reading multiple times throughout the day. I'm like, oh, I should read, oh, I need to read, blah, blah. Some days I don't think about it at all, but a lot of days I'll think about it at one point in the day, and it still doesn't happen. And I feel like last year, even though I did read 50 books, I feel like I hardly read it all, as physically, because I read maybe 12 books physically last year, which is still an okay number, but I just feel like I definitely could have read a lot more if I tried, because it's not like I do a lot with my life. I only work 2 days a week, so that gives you a picture of that I have the time to read. I just don't do it as much as I should, essentially. So the next goal is to read the books on my shelves. Basically, I have a lot of books. I have 2 full bookshelves and a book cart, and they're full of books. Half of them I would say I read, and half of them I have not read. And there's a lot of books on my shelves that I haven't read. And I feel like I'm always buying new books and stuff. And I just need to cut down on buying new books because I want to read that book. If I buy a new book, that doesn't bother me so much because I haven't bought a new book in forever. Haven't bought a whole ton of books towards the end of last year. This past year, I haven't bought a lot of books towards the end of it at all. 1 or 2 here and there and stuff, but I really cut down on my book buying, just kind of accidentally. I didn't do it on purpose. I was just buying other stuff. But I don't really want to cut down on book buying because that doesn't bother me. I'm not buying a lot of books right now. I just want to avoid searching for new books and buying them and reading them and not reading the ones that I currently own, essentially. So my goal is to just read the books that are on my shelves. I don't know, I think that makes sense. I just want to read all the books on my shelves. I have a lot, and I want to get into them. I want to read more of my fantasy books, my classic books, and a bunch of other stuff. But I want to focus on the books on my shelves and not on books that I hear other people talking about, or someone tells me to read this or that and blah blah blah. No, I need to focus on my bookshelves and getting the number of books that I haven't read down, so that then I can read those other books that people want me to read and stuff. I don't know. The next one is that I want to read more history and Christian books, because past year, my goal was to read a lot more history books, and whilst I did read quite a few history books this year, I didn't read as many as I was essentially, going in with the last goal, I didn't read the books on my shelves. I have a small collection of history books on this shelf, and I didn't really read any of those. I read one of them. But all of the history books that I did end up listening to on audiobook instead of reading the ones I own. So my goal is to read the ones I own And for Christian, don't own a ton of Christian books, so my goal is to read more Christian books, but also to add more to my collection. Same with the history. I'm okay with adding more history books to my collection because I don't have a lot. But I also want to focus on specifically reading the ones that I have right now. If I buy more, that's fine, but I want to read the ones that I have right now, if that makes any sense. And then the last goal is not exactly a book goal, but I'm going to put it in here anyways because it kind of goes with my channel. And it kind of contradicts one of my other goals. But I thought I'd just mention this as a goal because it's a goal and these are just goals. These aren't New Year's resolutions. I don't like the term New Year's resolutions. I don't know. I just don't really fancy the term. And, goals are it's just kind of like something I want to try to do. It's not necessarily going to happen, and it's just something in my brain that I'm like, oh, I want to do that this year. If it happens, it happens. If it doesn't, it doesn't. But this year, I want to finally attempt to finish the Clone Wars and Rebels series, which are 2 Star Wars shows. So basically, I started Clone Wars a while back. I want to say at the beginning of 2021, I started it when my parents had Disney Plus, and then they got rid of it, and I couldn't continue it. And then I decided I want to watch it, so I bought all of the discs for Clone Wars and Rebels. And I slowly started watching a couple of episodes in season 1, but I'm still in season 1, and it's 2022. So I'm still in the middle of season 1, so my goal is to actually finish it this year and then watch Rebels as well, because I have them and what I've watched so far is actually really good. I just don't watch it. Just I have problems where I rewatch the same things over and over again. That's another problem I have. But yeah, I just want to finish the Clone Wars series and watch Rebels as well. And that's not something, like, if I watch that, I'm not gonna, like, make it take over my life or something. I just want to finish it, like, however long that takes. It doesn't really bother me. I just want to finish it. So at this point, that is all of the reading goals I have. I have a lot more than I initially thought. I thought I only had 2, but not necessarily saying that all of those are gonna happen. The ones that I want to focus on the most is reading my Bible every day and reading my book every day, whatever the book is, at the time. The rest of them are just things that I would like to happen, but if they don't, it's not a big deal. But I would really like to make reading a daily habit because it's not currently. So, yes. That is it for this video. If you want to support my channel, you can like this video and subscribe down below. And if you are interested in seeing what my sewing goals for this year are, you can check out my other channel down below. I will have a video up on that soon. And I will see you in the next video. I hope you have your own fun reading adventures.